Without further ado, I will introduce David, and I'm sure you will love him. David Oakley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, first of all, none of that's true. And I'm really, let's see, this is kind of odd. Yeah, let's kind of lean in like this. I'm really excited to be here today. This is a really big honor to come down to Carolina to speak to you guys. It is really hard for me to call you guys Carolina because, you know, I went to the that inferior Carolina up in Chapel Hill. So I'm really happy to be down here with you guys today, and I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me if I do this? Yeah. I'll be really loud, okay? I was telling it, we went to lunch today with some very, very distinguished people from the university, Karen and Lisa and Carol. It was awesome. We went to this little house that served the most amazing carrot cake. It's killer. I mean, tomato pie. You guys should go there every day. I love Columbia. I love this place. Is that what it's called, the McCutcheon House? Yeah, whatever. It was good. I know where to find it. I don't need to know the name. I'll be back. I put this presentation together last night and a little bit this morning. And so I'm not really sure what's going to come up in this presentation. I kind of threw it together. But that's kind of the way we roll at BooneOakley. We were very spontaneous. We believe in living in the moment, not planning ahead, and being very open and honest, and we like to have conversations. So instead of this being a real formal PowerPoint presentation, if any of you guys have a question at any point, raise your hand, ask me. I'll be happy to stop and answer the question, and probably everyone else here will be happy for me to stop for a while too. So I'll start with, this is the name of our company, BooneOakley. We started in 2000. We started on October 20th, 2000, so we're exactly 2 weeks away from our 10th anniversary. It's a big deal for us. It's amazing. Sometimes I look back and very surprised that we made it through our first year, because it started out as a very tough economic time then. 9/11 happened, and you know, now we've gone through a couple of rough economic years, and I'm very proud to say that our agency is doing fine. We're moving forward, and we're going to the future. So let's start with a little question for you guys. What do you guys think is the best tagline in the history of advertising?
Just do it.
Just do it. That's in the top 4. That's a really good answer. If we were playing Family Feud, it would be like ding, 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 and it would come up, okay? Anybody else? Anybody? What about, does anyone know Apple's tagline?
Think differently.
Right, think different. Very good, very good. Okay, I think that's one of the best taglines ever. And there's one more that no one ever gets, but it's my opinion. Adidas came up with this line, and it's basically, you know, that nothing is insurmountable. You can do anything with Adidas, and the line is, impossible is nothing. Love that line. It's like, you know, you can do anything. So these are probably, in my opinion, 3 of the top 4 taglines in the history of advertising. And the very top one, without a doubt. Are you ready for this? Close. Very close, actually. Are you ready for the best one ever? Tell me that's not the best tagline ever. I mean, come on, guys. I see that all the time. I'm like, man, I wish I was a Gamecock. I wish I was in South Carolina. I would have that bumper sticker on my car in a second. Anyway, you guys are doing it right down here. Lisa, you haven't left yet.
I can't.
I know, I'm mesmerizing. Okay. All right, well, here, let's really get into the thick of what we're here to talk about today. 12 rules that we follow at BooneOakley. And, you know, it's kind of, they're not really like hard and fast rules. They are just things that we live by and things that we encourage people to think about. And, you know, you kind of maybe here going, I really, really don't care about the rules at BooneOakley. I mean, it's just an ad agency. These rules also apply for a different reason. These are 12 rules that might just help you get a job. And the reason I say get a job, I said thinking like all of you guys are going to graduate in a year or two and you're probably going to be out in the job market. Think about these little sayings when you're looking for a job or when you're trying to present yourself to a company or anything. You might not, they actually might be tenets for life. Or they might be a bunch of bullshit. I don't know. We'll see. All right, the very first one, rule number 1. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Try new things. Do things that like are outside your comfort zone. It doesn't matter if you mess up, as long as you're trying. And when you try and do different things, a lot of times great things happen. You may fail, but every time you fail, if you get up and go again, that's not bad. We opened our agency 10 years ago in October with a pretty major mistake. This billboard went up in Charlotte on Interstate 485. This was 2 weeks before the presidential election. It's a pretty close election at the time. And kind of a little bit of a mix-up there, a little mistake. Not a good way to start your agency. We put this billboard up, and within an hour and a half, we were fielding calls from Fox News, CNN, ABC, wondering how in the world you guys screwed up this election billboard. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, it was very scary. We had this whole plan. This was actually for a client, and this is on a Friday afternoon, but what we had to do was act like we had really screwed up the whole weekend. We had to act like idiots for the whole weekend. And, you know, I mean, it's easy to say, it's pretty easy for us to do. We're stumbling, fumbling, you know, they're calling, and we're like, well, you know, we just opened our agency this week, and, you know, can you be kind of easy on us? Are you really going to write a story about this? And, you know, the one guy from Fox News goes, you know, are we going to write a story about it? This is the biggest screw up in election history. This is horrible. You know, I mean, and then you know, these guys are like saying that we're complete fools. We've done this thing. Then I got a call from the vice chairman of the Republican Party, the National Republican Party, and he was in like the best mood ever. I mean, he goes, oh, and I said, so you're calling about the billboard, right? And he goes, yes, I am. I'm calling about the billboard. And I'm like, well, we're going to get it addressed and get it taken down as soon as we can. I mean, the workers are working on it are away for the weekend. So we can't do anything about it for Monday, but we're going to get the billboard down. And he's like, well, you know, that's okay. You know, whenever you get around to it, you know, we know that you weren't working for us. So in his mind, he had figured out that this was a Democratic screw-up, that like Gore's team had hired us to do a Gore billboard, and we had screwed it up. So he thought it was hilarious. So, you know, so anyway, so it goes on, and on Monday, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. On Monday, we, after it was on the cover of the Atlanta Constitution, it was on the cover of the Charlotte Observer, it was in the LA Times on Sunday. On Monday, we put a snipe across it that said, today's job opening, proofreader, 123hire.com. 123hire is a job employment company, kind of like Monster or Career Builder. They got so much publicity from this, it was ridiculous. Let me show you a little clip that was on CNN.
Al Gore got some strong support at a rally in New Orleans, French Quarter. In this footnote, undecided voters in North Carolina faced some electoral confusion this week. A highway billboard along Interstate 485 in Charlotte touts Al Gore in 2000. The picture, as you note, you probably can't see it well, but it does. It shows Gore's Republican rival George W. Bush on it. A local ad agency says it will replace that billboard next week.
There's a little more.
cold, but good to have you with us. Good morning, America. I'm Charles Gibson.
I'm Diane Sawyer, and this Monday, October 23rd, 2000.
Even though the candidates are neck and neck, not even the tightest poll numbers find them this close. The advertising people who designed this billboard in Charlotte, North Carolina, said their mistake will be fixed by next week, and then we will know which candidate's billboard it really is supposed to be. That's the news at 8:05. Big mistake there, Tony.
I wonder what the guy who designed that billboard is doing now for a living.
I'm trying, there's one more little, this is after.
When it comes to politics, take nothing at face value. When this billboard right here first went up in Charlotte, North Carolina, everybody considered it a blunder. After all, it shows Governor Bush's face and Al Gore's name. But yesterday, it was revealed that this was just a publicity stunt. The ad agency executive says he's pleased with the nationwide coverage. I bet there, huh? But Gore's people are not laughing. They say the billboard wrongfully confused people in North Carolina.
Wait,
Alert, more moms return to work, and software upgrades run a
I'm
whole
trying to
new
get to,
pattern at
all right, I'll let, anyway, I'm going to go away from that. That was a really crazy way to start an agency. I mean, it was just the most ridiculous weekend ever. We got a ton of publicity for our client, 123 Hire. The following Wednesday, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal about how we pulled it off, and it really catapulted us into our first real new business pitch. The president of Continental Tire North America saw the billboard, and they were in the middle of a agency review, and they told their marketing director, "Get those guys in. I want them in. I want them to pitch our business as well." And we ended up going in, and we ended up winning Continental Tire because of that billboard. We didn't make a lot of money on that billboard, but we made more money on Continental, and that really got us going as an agency. Another thing that we always talk about internally is, you know, having a positive attitude and finding ways to make things happen. And you know, when you're confronted with a problem or something that seems like insurmountable, there's always a way to get to a solution for it. You've just got to have the drive and figure out ways to make things happen. What I'm basically doing here, I'm going to show these tenants, and I'm going to talk about things that we've made happen over the last 10 years. One of the things that we had a client called Boon, which is a supermarket in the Charlotte region, and they started with 5 stores and ended up growing to like 70 stores now. They're really a great company, a division of Food Lion. They wanted us to do a project for them to promote their muffins. They felt like, you know what, our muffins are like incredible. We want people to know about them. How can we tell people about how great our muffins are? So, you know, coming off our success of the Bush Gore billboard, you know, we were kind of good at billboards, at least we thought we were. So we came up with this billboard. So, I mean, it's kind of a 3-dimensional board. As you see, the muffins are sticking out from the muffin pan. It says Jumbo Muffins, always in bloom. Really a pretty cool board, I think, on its own. I think it's, you know, kind of eye-catching that it's 3-dimensional. They look delicious. Well, it was all good until this happened. One of these muffins fell off the board and crushed this car. So, I mean, that car was just sitting there, you know? It crushed it. What else it did was muffin sales went through the roof at Bloom. They all sold out for weeks. And they got, once again, a regular ad turned into much more than an ad. We got a lot of press coverage over this. But what really happened, and why I say it's make it happen, this is one of the things that we were told we couldn't do. And we figured out a way to do it. We figured out that, you know, this is actually, if you look up here at this board, that's just a photograph of the empty muffin pan right there. I mean, we used a piece of vinyl to go over it, so that's not 3-dimensional. This muffin we brought in at like 3 in the morning and crushed the car, which we bought at a junk lot and painted it red. We had a for sale sign on it and a phone number on it. And we had a cell phone to this phone number. to the car where you could say, for sale. The funniest thing about this whole thing to me was like the messages that we got on that cell phone after this muffin fell. It's just like, yo, dude, you're not going to believe this. Your car was crushed by a giant muffin. It's just like, or it was like, sir, I hope you have insurance because there's something horrible's happened to your car. But anyway, like making it happen was, so we got out in the middle of the night. It was probably, we got maybe 2 in the morning, and we go out and we're trying to crush the car that had been sitting there to make it look like this muffin had fallen on it. And you would think it would be pretty easy to smash a roof on a car, but this really should be a commercial for Kia's because this car was so well made. We tried everything and we couldn't get like the whole passenger area to crush. We finally had to go and get like a special saw and cut the T-bar out of it and smash it down. We got the muffin on it right before daybreak. It was like 5:48, I think, is when we actually rolled out of there. And another funny thing to me about the whole project was there were several people that came forward to the press and said they saw it fall. That it was real, we saw it, and it was just, I don't know whether they're just people who like to get quoted in the press or what. They saw it fall. But figure out a way to make things happen. And that's...
What's the muffin made out of?
Didn't I say no questions till the end? No, what is the muffin made out of? It's made out of flour and sugar and blueberries. I mean, it's real. What do you mean, what is it made of? No, it's made out of this like weird styrofoam stuff. It's really light. I mean, we ended up with, the other thing we didn't think about was just putting this big muffin on the car. I mean, anyone could walk up to it and just walk away with it. So we had to figure out a way in the middle of the night to bolt it down and secure it and everything, which we did. Yeah, that's a good question. That is the best question so far, by the way. It really is. That's really good. Thank you. This is a long headline. I can't read it from here. A big idea can come from anywhere. And that means when I don't know if you guys get together and work in teams and projects, I'm sure you do, and a lot of times you think that your idea is the best one, but if you keep your ears open and your eyes open, ideas come from the strangest places. I mean, your mom might say something, you're like, wow, that's a really good idea. Or, you might be at a comedy club, and this goes back about 5 years ago. I was at a comedy club in Charlotte called The Perch. And I was watching this guy who had this little improv thing, and he had a little baby that he would bring, a baby doll he would bring out, and he would review movies. And this little talking baby that he held with his hand was just amazing to me because this guy was like ad-libbing this stuff, and it was so funny about movies. So I saw it and I forgot about it. And then about 6 months later, we were asked to pitch a campaign for MTV. They were starting a new division called MTV2. They had asked several agencies to bring ideas to the table to kind of reintroduce. I think they had MTV2 for a couple of years and they wanted to reintroduce it. So I thought, it was 2 nights before our presentation, and we had some ideas. We didn't really have any good ideas. They were like, okay, no winning ideas. They were just okay ideas. And then I remembered that, man, that guy at The Perch, wow, I wonder if that baby could actually review music videos instead of movies. And so I went over, I called the guy, and I ended up going over to The Perch. And the next night I was over there, and I worked with him, and he wrote these things. I didn't write them. He wrote these things, and we shot these things and took them to MTV the following day. That's just like weird luck. But a big idea came from Sean, and this is what came out of it. Let's see if I can make this happen.
Jay-Z and Beyonce are on fire, and they're in a video together on MTV2. Talking baby. Boy, I bet that Beyonce smells good. So fresh and so clean. Ooh, you're a lucky man, Jay-Z. Remember these times. MTV2, it's a whole other channel. MTV2, where the music's at.
All right, there's one. I think I put another one in here.
Whoa! Nasty balls! Stay down! Shut
Okay. Okay, that was fun. But that was just like this weird thing that happened. And you know, I remembered someone that had done a great job. We went over. It ended up being pretty cool. So a great idea can come from anywhere. Boy, this is going really fast. Anybody got any questions? I mean, I should be done by 6 tonight, okay? Carol, is it 6 o'clock that we're out of here?
As long as you want to be here.
Right on. I like it. Okay.
What's the baby made of?
What was that?
What's the baby made of?
All right. That just scared me because I didn't hear you, so I didn't know how to respond. Do things every day that scare you. I'll tell you honestly, standing in front of you guys scares me. I mean, it really does, because you guys are the bright minds of the future. You guys know technology. You know how to communicate. You communicate a completely different way than I do. And you guys are the future, and you guys are the ones who are going to be running the agencies and the PR firms, and probably the top Fortune 500 companies in the world within the next 10 years. Think about that for a second. It's true. But in the meantime, push yourself. Don't get into the same rut. Don't get into things that you do every day. Do things a little bit differently. You know, go on a trip across the country. You know, go to a foreign country. Go up to Chapel Hill and beat somebody up. I don't know. Just do things that are out of your everyday routine. Just do things that are pushing yourself a little bit. Because when you do things that are out of your routine, you learn and you really grow as a person. And this is how I kind of relate this to, I don't know how I'm going to make this transition, to, have you guys ever heard of Carowinds in Charlotte? Okay, well every October they do something called Scarowinds, and they turn the whole thing into a haunted amusement park. So we were asked to do an outdoor campaign to promote the Scarowinds Park, but we were trying to do it in a way that was different and that wasn't just like using like a Jason mask or whatever to scare people. So we thought of like things that are scary in real life that are not quite as scary as Scarowinds. So this is a quick little, I'm taking you through a quick little campaign. So Scarowinds is scarier than seeing your parents naked. And speaking of doing things that scare you, this campaign really scared the client. They're like, oh my gosh, we can't say that. It's like, but they did it. They did it. Sushi in Kansas is kind of, I don't know. Mullets. I had a mullet at the time, so it was okay. Yes. That's kind of gross, actually, but it's scary too. This is always a good point. Don't take yourself too seriously. You know, take your work seriously. Take what you do seriously. Take your job seriously. But be able to like take a minute back and laugh at yourself. I mean, because you're pretty damn funny. I mean, think about it. I mean, just don't take yourself seriously. I mean, it's, you know, I think that this is kind of a tenet for BooneOakley because I guess when I worked in New York, I met a lot of people at big agencies that weren't that nice, weren't that talented, but were assholes. And I did not like working with a lot of these people. I mean, nothing against New Yorkers. I ended up marrying a New Yorker. She's great. She's my wife. 20 years ago yesterday was our anniversary, by the way. Yeah, we got married when we were 12. It's good stuff. But you don't take yourself too seriously also goes back to another thing that we believe in, and I didn't put it up here, and it's one of the things when we started the agency was to be nice, do great work, and work for people that you like. And then don't take yourself too seriously was the next one after that. But it's really about just being friendly and open, and I'm going back to one of the real reasons that I'm here today is because when I was in college, when I was a senior, I was talking about this at lunch. I was about to graduate from Chapel Hill and had no clue what I wanted to do. None. I mean, I figured I would just go out and try to get a job doing something. And I did graduate, and I got a job, and I was waiting tables, and that was great. But what happened a month before I graduated was a girl that I was dating at the time was taking a journalism class. And I was over at her apartment on a Sunday afternoon, and she was doing her homework. I was reading my economics or something boring like that. But she's like making these little sketches, and they're sketches of stick figures, and they were pathetic. I mean, she couldn't draw her way out of a card game. She was terrible. But like, what are you doing? She goes, well, I'm drawing the Pillsbury Doughboy. Really? Is that what that is? Okay. All right, the Pillsbury Doughboy. She goes, it's my Journalism 170 class. It's Introduction to Advertising. We're working on the copywriting part of it right now. I'm creating an ad campaign. And I was like, that's an ad campaign? And then I asked a really interesting question, which I thought was interesting. You actually get college credit for that? I had no idea that that program was in existence. I had no idea that that could be a career. I mean, of all the commercials that I'd watched on TV, it never occurred to me that someone writes those things, that someone actually comes up with those ideas. I mean, you know, some of them are stupid, but still, someone writes all of it. So I ended up asking Laura, I said, so what's your professor's name? Well, the professor was John Sweeney. And so the next day, I went to see Professor Sweeney. Now, for me to go see Professor Sweeney was a huge thing because I was the type of student, it was like pretty unusual for me to go to class. Now, to actually go see a professor, man, that was like a huge step. You know, still I was about to graduate. I did graduate. But I went to see Professor Sweeney, and I told him how badly that I wanted to get into advertising, that I'd found my calling. I knew it from that moment that this is what I wanted to do. And he basically said, you know, David, that's great. There are a lot of people who want to get into advertising. It's a really tough career. You're about to graduate. You probably should go out and get a job and with your major. And he asked me, what's your major, by the way? And I said, industrial relations. And he goes, get a job with whatever kind of job you get with that major, which was, anyway, it's a long story. But I'm kind of going on because this is what I do. I ended up getting off track, but I'm not off track. You think I'm off track, but I'm not. I'm stalling right now while I remember what I was going to tell you. What I was going to say is, like, you guys have like great resources here. Your professors are awesome. I mean, I had lunch with 3 of them today. Talk to them, ask them questions, and they can be a great help to you. And they might just become your mentor. Because John Sweeney, when I went back to him in the summer after I graduated, and I told him, I said, look, I want to be in your class. I really want to learn advertising. And then he told me again. He said, well, I am teaching this class. There's 70 students are in my class that are enrolled, and I have a waiting list of 15 kids to get in it. You're not going to be able to get in my class. And I said, okay. And I don't know why I said this to him, but it really showed how much I really wanted this. I said, Mr. Sweeney, I know that you're one of the most popular professors in the J School, and you just got voted, most popular professor for like the 4th straight year. But I also know college students, and I know that college students sometimes skip classes, and sometimes they're sick. And believe it or not, every day there's going to be at least one empty seat in out of those 70. And I'm going to be in that seat, whether you let me in your class or not. And he looked at me like I was out of my mind. I mean, he really did. He looked at me like I was crazy, which I probably was in that instance. I really was like, I just wanted this so badly. And I went in the first day to that class, and it was packed. I mean, there were people milling around looking for a seat. But I'll never forget, there was one girl who had a Kappa Kappa Gamma jersey on. I'll never forget this. She got up, just like that girl's getting up right there. Perfect timing. It was like, exactly. So there was a seat, and I like walked right in, sat in that seat, and I was there for every class. And he didn't even look at me for like the first couple of weeks. He just kind of ignored me because I think he was really afraid of me. I think he's like, this guy's a ridiculous stalker guy. You know? But when it came down to the midterm, he's going around passing out the midterm test. He got to my desk and he just looked at me and he goes, throws it on my desk. He goes, you're in. And I was so psyched. I'd passed my first test in advertising. I'd gotten in. And then I was like, oh, well, now I've got to pass this test, this other test. But he let me in his class, and I made straight A's. I took 3 classes from him, stayed an extra year in Chapel Hill, and found what I really wanted to do. And you're going to meet people in your life that have an unbelievable influence on you. And there are people in this room right now that can really help you. So take advantage of it. I don't know what this has to do with don't take yourself so seriously. I think I jumped ahead, but whatever. Okay, don't take yourself so seriously. Let's watch another commercial. I don't know what this commercial is because I don't remember, but I'm sure it's really good. Let's see.
Where did you get all these ships? You got a couple of cream puffs out there.
I have thousands more to choose from across the country. You can browse them as well.
If I find the perfect ship at the far end of the world, will you hold it for me until I can go pick it up?
No, sir. We will ship it to you.
You'll ship my ship?
We will ship your ship to any shipmax in the entire flat world.
Are you shipping me?
Why this way?
It's amazing. No one's thought of this before.
All right, remember, don't take yourself too seriously. Talk to your professors. They're here. They're here to help. And above all, whatever you do, be yourself. Always be yourself. And you'll go a long way because each of you guys has very great individual personalities, and always believe that you can do whatever you set your mind to do. You can do it. Even if you look like that. Just be yourself. I sent this picture to Karen for the poster, but she wouldn't use it, so I decided to use it in the presentation.
That was my fault.
What?
That was me. Yeah.
It was too small.
Yeah.
Oh, is this that's one? Okay. All right. I think this is rule number 7. I really believe that it's all about relationships. And I'll go back to when we started our agency 10 years ago. I had this long conversation with Pat Doody, who runs this company called Wong Doody out of Seattle. And now they're in Seattle, and they're also in Los Angeles. They're a really great ad agency. And I had always admired the work that they had done for the Seattle Supersonics. It was fantastic work, really funny, brought a sense of humor to pro basketball. Love those guys. But before we started the agency, he asked me a very straight question. He said, David, what's your agency going to be about? And I was like, it's going to be about the work. We're going to do the best work ever. We're going to be about the best work. We're going to do great creative work. And he goes, well, you're going to fail. You're not going to stay in business very long. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Come on. I mean, John Boone and I are like, this creative team from the Martin Agency. We're like, we do good work, and we were really excited. That's why we're doing it, so we can do great work. It's about the work. He goes, no, it's not. It's about relationships. And I thought that Pat was crazy. I thought he was absolutely nuts. And he said, he just goes, great work is like number 8 on the list, because without great relationships, you're not going to have any clients. You're not going to have opportunities to do any good work. You're never going to get up to the plate to do the type of work that I've been showing you today. And I want to say to you guys, as you're going out and looking for jobs, and even while you're still here at school, it's really about getting to know people, networking with people, talking to people, sharing experience with people. And the people that you meet, probably the people in this room right now, are going to be some of your best friends for life. When I think back to the people that I know from Chapel Hill, I stay in touch with a ton of people that I went to school with. And it really is about relationships and getting along with people and learning from people. And it's amazing what opportunities come when you go and talk to people. So I'm hoping I'll get some kind of opportunity here today because I talked to you guys. That's basically what I'm saying. I was laughing because I'm like, how does this go into the work I'm getting ready to show you? I totally threw this together. But you know what? I don't see anybody asleep yet, which is good. Any questions right now? You, are you leaving yet? Lisa?
No,
You have a question?
I do not.
You know, okay, very good.
What's been like your best way of building those relationships and contacts for you personally?
Well, I usually send people money, just like randomly. I mean, that really works. They kind of like, you know. I think what it is like when you work with someone or like kind of try to stay in touch. I think you guys have a whole nother thing now with social media and being able to stay in touch through Facebook and stuff like that. But however you can. I mean, if you're working with a group of people, like maybe there's someone that you had in freshman English and you see them on campus and just like bump in and say, what's going on, Bill? How you doing, man? I hated you in freshman English, but you know what? I'll give you another shot right now. How you doing? And then you'll say, well, I don't even know. It's kind of an interesting question. How do you maintain relationships?
Really involved.
Get involved. Get outside your comfort zone. Talk to people. Yeah, that's it. Just maintain relationships. Don't burn bridges with anybody. No matter what happens, keep a good relationship with people. It's very important. Because especially in advertising, it's a very, very small business. It may seem like it's spread out all over the country, but it's very small. And we all live in a very small world, so get along. That's the lesson for today. I really am trying to remember why I put this Bojangles work right after this, but I'm going to show you some work we've done with Bojangles. And I know why it was, because in March of this year, I'll just say in January of this year, we received an RFP for the opportunity, a request for proposal to go after the Bojangles account. And Bojangles is 500 stores across the Southeast. There were 16 agencies invited to pitch. We were really excited that we made the list of 16. We filled out the RFP. They narrowed it to 6. They came and visited agencies. They narrowed it to 4. And somehow, I won't say somehow, we won this because we went for it with every ounce of energy that everyone in the agency had. We went after this piece of business like our agency depended on it. And in fact, it did. It did. We needed to win this business. And we did win it. And it was a moment where I feel like 23 people bonded together and came together as one. We worked really well together, and we somehow were able to pull this off. But the reason I'm talking about relationships is it goes back to what Pat Duty told me. The Bojangles people are great. I mean, from the top to the bottom of that company, it's about their culture. It's creating a culture of positive energy, truth, leadership, effective leadership, and really being true to what they're all about. And they're not about making food or chicken. They're about relationships. And for some reason, we hit it off really well, and we won the account. All right, any more questions? No, just kidding. I'm going to show a couple. I'm going to show the first. Oh, yes.
This is about relationships. Have you ever chosen to resign a client because a relationship you thought would be there turned out to be different than you thought, and while perhaps the work you enjoyed, but the relationship was not good, and so you had to walk away from it?
Yes, and the answer is yes to that. And that's a really, really hard decision, especially if there's income coming in, because when you're a small agency, you're like, okay, you put this in your projections, you've got so-and-so amount per month coming in from this client, and you're like, man, they're treating us like crap, and we're hating working on this. And how do you make the decision that, you know what, this is not healthy for our firm to have a relationship with this maybe an individual or two at a client. We have resigned stuff. It's one of the hardest things that you can do, because if you do that, you've got to have stuff to replace it. And the answer is yes. We haven't done it as often as we probably should have. I mean, in all honesty. But so anyway, when we got the Bojangles account, one of the things in the pitch that the 4 final agencies were asked was, should we keep our tagline, gotta, wanna, need to get a, have a Bojangles? Did I say that right? That's the first time I've ever said it right. I said it right? Okay, good. And apparently we found out afterwards we were the only agency that said that you should lose that tagline. We were saying we want something new. I don't think people know how to say that, and I think that it's run its course. I think that was one of the reasons that we won the business. There are 2 other reasons that we won it. 3 other reasons. I'll do these really quickly. We won because we suggested that they change their tagline, and they were ready to change their tagline. 2, John Boone went and worked at a Bojangles for a 9-hour shift, and started at 6:30 in the morning and got off at 4:30 in the afternoon with a 30-minute break. He came away from that with a major appreciation for what the people who are working in these restaurants, what they go through on a day-to-day basis. And what he said in the pitch was, my gosh, I've got the easiest job around. I get to come up with ads for you guys. The people who work for you are really, really workers. We went in and we learned about their business. Craig Jelniker, our broadcast producer, and I went down to to Tuscaloosa, and we went to a Bojangles grand opening, and we were the first people at the grand opening at 4:45 in the morning. We were their first customers. And we sat down and we spent the entire day with them, interviewed customers, interviewed people, really tried to get to know their business. I think that was a big part of us winning. It really didn't have a lot to do with the creative work we showed. And what was the other reason we won? Oh, the other reason that we won this pitch was, honestly, I don't think that our creative work was that great that we were about to pitch to them. But another miracle happened at the last minute. I was on their Facebook site, Bojangles fan page, and I was kind of like going down near the bottom of it, and I found this video, and it was a couple of guys just singing a song about Bojangles. And it was like this real interesting insight about the brand, that people truly love Bojangles. I mean, they crave it and they love it, and like these guys were singing about it, and they were funny, and they were guys in their like mid-20s. So this is so strange. I Facebooked them and sent them a message, and they actually live near in a town called Carthage, North Carolina, which is near Southern Pines, whatever. So of course they get a message from me like, hey, why don't you come to Charlotte? We'll hook you up in a hotel, and you can, it sounded so like seedy. Yeah, we love your music. Come on over and meet with us. So, but oddly enough, the guy like wrote back and said, are you for real? I said, look, go check out our website. And he checked it out, and then he got back to me. He goes, we can come back. Actually, it was 2 days before the pitch. The 2 of them came to Charlotte, and the night before the pitch, it was kind of this last minute, like, is this going to work or not? They played their song live at the agency, like as we're pulling everything together. When they played that, I was like, holy moly, this is going to be good. This is going to be great. So we go over and we have our presentation the next morning at Bank of America Stadium in one of the conference rooms there. We walk in, and I'm presenting like this, and I'm talking about, the CEO's there, and 2 of the biggest franchise owners are there, and I'm talking about their Facebook presence and how many fans they have. And you guys have got this community right now. It's like 33,000 people are your fans right now. And I said, do you know Sawyer and Phillip? The guys who made the video for you? I said, Randy, do you know? And he's like, no. I'm like, Tom, do you know? Jeff, do you know? You don't know about the people who are like online, who absolutely love you guys, who are these brand ambassadors. And I was like, here they are. And I flipped up the slide, and there's a picture of the 2. It's a still frame from the video. And so I went, okay, check this out. And I like hit play, and I'm like, is there an IT person? Can I get some help? The video's not working. So I'm like, oh God. And I just like walked out of the room. I left. And I walked out, and then a second later, I walked back in. I'm like, oh my gosh, I found them. They're out here in the hall. So I brought the two guys in. They sat down, we pulled stools out, and they played the song live in the presentation. And I will tell you, after that moment in the meeting, we could have said anything we wanted to say, and we were winning that pitch. And we were the first ones to go, and they just loved it. It was, if you ever get a chance to use live music in a pitch, do it. Anyway, so Facebook really won Bojangles for us. And I'll show you a couple of spots that we have done for them so far. We've done 8 commercials for them in the last 6 months. This is just the 2 that I had last night. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not.
Is there a problem, officers?
Yeah. It's bow time.
Bojangles, get our seasoned chicken made from scratch biscuits and legendary iced tea for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Bojangles is...
It's bow time. I'll show you another spot in the campaign. I'll show it to you, then I'll talk about it. But
I love my husband, and if there's one thing I would want him to know, it's bow time!
Bojangles, get our seasoned chicken made from scratch biscuits and legendary iced tea for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Bojangles, it's bow time.
I'll tell you something about that spot. I mean, I love that spot, but honestly, we ran that spot for a week, and this is sometimes you get into these situations with clients that are very hard to navigate. We ran that spot, and they got so many complaints about the spot, you wouldn't believe it. And I was like, complaints? What do you mean? They got complaints from people who had just been to a funeral or had just lost somebody, and they didn't think it was funny to be making fun of a funeral. And, you know, I didn't completely agree. And then I really started thinking about it more, and I really had to go, I was like kind of pissed. I'm like, they're going to pull it? What do you mean they're going to pull it? You know, and then I was like, you know what? I went back to what I said, you know, when my father died, if I'd seen this, you know, a week after that happened, I wouldn't have laughed. And that's when I knew that it was probably the right thing. It's really hard when someone goes out and spends a lot of money on a spot like that and they have to pull it. That was pulled within a week, and that's really hard. It's hard for a new relationship. It's hard for, it was really hard because we were like, oh my gosh, they've hired us and we've really screwed up. They're pulling the first, that was the first one we ran. And, you know, they got a lot of complaints, so we had to pull it out. But we've done 6 more since then, and it's going strong. I don't know if you guys have seen any of them. I think they play here in Columbia. They should anyway. Yes?
So did you offer to credit them any money?
Are you kidding?
Production.
We asked for a bonus. No, we did not offer to credit them for, are you with Bojangles? That is a good question. That's a really good question, but no, we didn't. No. Are you asking a question back there? Or are you just putting your jacket on?
Just putting my jacket on.
All right. No, that's a really good question. No, we didn't. That's, you know, that thought never crossed my mind. All right, sorry. Okay. What's your question?
My question is, how much time do you have from getting the business to production to when it actually airs? I mean, how much time do they give you?
Not enough, usually. There's usually usually there's a schedule. When we get a creative brief or we write a brief, we usually give the creative teams like 2 weeks to come up with an idea, come up with a campaign. Then they present it internally. Then we have like a tissue session with a client where we bring them in and like sit down, like we've got, you know, 5 or 6 different ideas. We really like to do these different ideas, saying that like shallow holes, like we don't want to dig in too far and, you know, and then go the wrong direction. Then we go back, regroup another couple of weeks together. Then we come back and present like final storyboards, maybe 5 to 6 weeks from the time that we started. Then we look for production companies or a director to help shoot these, get on a schedule for production, post-production, probably from start to finish, it's probably 2 months, no, 3 months from the time you get the assignment to the time you have a finalized TV spot. It really depends. It depends on the assignment. It depends on whether it's a website or whether it's just a banner ad campaign or whether it's a print campaign, radio. It really depends. Yes?
Does that agency have a measuring stick, so to speak, for when a commercial or campaign begins and where that business is and when it completes itself?
That's a great question. It really is. It's different with every campaign. I mean, for instance, with the example of Bojangles, they track their sales in every store every day. So they know what their sales have been for like the last 15 years, every single day in every single store. So we're basically basing our success right now off of where they were in 2009, on October 6th. And, or they'll go back and go, okay, same store sales are up 2.4% today. Tomorrow they're up 3.2%. They might be up 4%. They might be up 0.01%. I will tell you that so far with this campaign, their sales have been 22 straight weeks of positive sales over the last year. I don't know if it's, attributable. I don't know if it's attributable. Is that the word? If it's whether it's because of this campaign or whether maybe the economy's starting to get better or what, but there are very positive signs for them sales-wise. That's one way we judge it. Let me whip through a couple more here. I'm on number 8. Don't take no for an answer. That's just being persistent. If you're interviewing and someone looks at your portfolio, or you go for an interview and it's not a good interview, or and they say no, we don't have a job for you right now. Either be persistent. Look for other jobs. Ask them for names of other people and look around and try to find, just find ways when you're told no to get around that. And that seems counterintuitive a little bit, but find ways to make things happen. When I bring up this example, this is really quickly. We saw this driving back from Greensboro to Charlotte one day, John Boone and I, and it was just a billboard that didn't have anything on it. And we were actually driving back from a Wrangler jeans presentation. And we happened to be working on their camouflage gear. And we drove back and like, man, we were just talking about, like, what if you did an outline of pants and just made that you could see through it, it would be like camouflage jeans. So we said, man, that's a great, let's do that. Let's go back and show that to Wrangler. So we took this, we went back, mocked this up, went back and showed it to Wrangler, and they said, do you know how much it would cost to do billboards like this in the markets that we want to do it? I mean, to cut out a billboard and do all this, it probably costs 25 grand a board just to put it together. And they basically said, we love the idea, we don't like what it's going to cost to do it. So we were like, oh well. It could have been on the stack of dead ideas, but we decided that, you know what, maybe they could use this in another format. So we made our own billboards and made them portable, and they used them at trade shows, fishing events, and like the Bassmaster Classic they sponsor. So on the edge of lakes and stuff, they posted these things. These things were like 10 feet tall by 6 feet. They cost like $80 to make or something. And anyway, maybe not even that much, but they worked all throughout the year. Break all rules. I'm realizing I'm showing you guys, forget all these rules. I'm showing you a lot of outdoor today. I want to show you one more outdoor board that we did. And we were told that we couldn't do this, but we did it anyway. It seems to be a recurring pattern. In Charlotte, on outdoor, there's a motion ordinance. You can't have any moving parts on the billboard, and it was passed by City Council in Charlotte to, I guess, to keep people's eyes on the road so you're not distracted. Well, we did this billboard for Charlotte Plastic Surgery. I want you guys to check it out real quick. So the funny thing about this to me about breaking the rules is so like it's turning back the hands of time. But what happened was the city council member who was 2 years before that was adamantly opposed to outdoor advertising having any movement came to us that fall and asked if we would do her campaign. You know, and you know they never took this sign down. They asked us to work, and we said no, we're not going to get into political campaigns. We had our Bush Gore. That's it. Now I'm trying to move along because I've got a ton of rules. Hire people smarter than you. There are a lot of people that are smarter than me in this world, and like everybody at our agency is. And that's what's great. It's like what's great about having your own agency is you've got all these people working, and you get credit for all the ideas. I mean, it's like, oh, it's BooneOakley, right? Okay. I don't know if any of you guys have seen our website. You should check it out if you haven't seen it. We built it entirely on YouTube. It's a series of like 26 videos hooked together. It's not a regular site. It's pretty innovative. It won a ton of international awards. And the reason that it won all these awards is because John Boone and David Oakley stepped out of the way and let a young creative team 2 years out of school run with this idea. I mean, they came to John and I and said, look, guys, we've got this idea. We gave them the assignment to redo our website. And they came to us with an idea and said, hey, we want to put it on YouTube. I'm like, are you like out of your mind? How can you do that? Well, they explained to us and showed us how that like YouTube had these annotations, how you could click from one video to the next, and explained to us how it worked. And then we sat around in the conference room and said, well, is there a way that we can really tell the story of BooneOakley? Can we tell what we're about? Can we show how we're different? And can we like really show our work? And they're like, absolutely. And they said, we'll see you. This was on a Monday. Let's meet again on Friday, because we talked about what we were all about, and then this is what they came back with. I mean, this was the original little sketch video. All of this was produced in-house at BooneOakley by a copywriter and an art director right out of school. All the illustrations are done by the copywriter, the voiceovers, the art director, and it was done on a Mac. Bless you. This is, this is just a, oh, we'll see. Hopefully. Maybe you won't. All right, take my word for it.
Welcome to BooneOakley, a full-service ad agency for those who dare to do daring work. We figure the best way to tell our story is to make our website one. Skip around using the timeline below. If you're on YouTube, use these buttons to see additional work or for other options. This is the story of Billy. Billy is a marketing director. One day, Billy's boss put Billy in charge of finding a new ad agency. So Billy went to where he thought they all were. Each agency he found claimed to be different, even though they were all owned by the same 4 companies. So Billy picked one, and that agency went to work. Then that work got produced, and no one noticed it, because it was just like all the other work from all the other agencies that were all owned by the same 4 companies. So Billy got fired, so Billy didn't have a job, so Billy's wife had him killed. Welcome to BooneOakley. BooneOakley is not in New York. It isn't owned by anyone else. And it isn't just named for the initials of all its partners. Although you can probably imagine why. It is the kind of work that
Anyway.
It's the kind of work that would make Billy.
Anyway. Sorry, check out the website. That's what it was. It's been an incredible new business tool for us. I mean, all of a sudden people know who BooneOakley is, but it really came about because we hired people that were better at things and smarter than we are, and we let them do what they did, and it's fantastic. So, any questions? Lisa, you haven't left yet. I keep wanting to like bust on you for leaving, and you haven't left.
Are you telling me to leave?
No, I'm not. No.
You're so compelling, I can't.
Oh, whatever. So compelling, yes. Okay, controversy is good. And this may not be good for like getting a new job, but controversy is great when you want to get like publicity and PR for a brand or a cause. We worked with the Humane Society of Charlotte a couple years ago and came up with a campaign to raise awareness about spaying and neutering pets, because there are like thousands upon thousands of them that have to be euthanized every year, and just in Mecklenburg County alone. So we went and talked to the Humane Society about it. We said, we've got this great idea for a TV spot. Let's do it. And they were completely into it. They wanted to do it. Let's do it. We get a production company, a friend of ours in California, to shoot it for next to nothing. And we get it produced. We bring it back to Charlotte. We go over to CBS and the WBT in Charlotte, and we talk to the station manager. And I'm with the Humane Society marketing director, who's on there every Tuesday or Wednesday in the mornings to show the new puppies that they have to give away. They're on the news. And we show the spot, and she's just like, you know, I really appreciate you working for this cause, but we're not going to show this on WBT. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, I was really devastated because we'd taken the time and the money of the people at the Humane Society to produce this thing, and then they're telling us that we can't run it. So we walked out. I was very dejected, and I'll never forget that Catherine put her arm around me as I'm walking out the door, and she just goes, Dave, don't worry. There's always Fox. And I was kind of like, are you kidding me? I thought she would be so mad because they wouldn't run it, and this is the station they'd done so much work with. So the next day we go over to Fox, and we kind of let it out a little bit that, like, you know, WBT had refused to run it. And man, as soon as they heard that, they were all about running this thing. And not only that, they ran it as one of the lead stories on their news. And it was like, is the Charlotte Humane Society spot too racy? Is it over the top? You know, or does it get the point across that needs to be gotten across? So then it was like on their website, this poll about should they pull this spot or should they continue using it. Then the Charlotte Observer ended up writing this big story and expose on the Humane Society. So this is how it started. Anyway, so that was a little bit too hot for CBS. Fox loved it. Yeah, it was fun. It was a good spot. I have one more little rule for you guys before I end today, and I really want you guys to know this, and we say this to everyone at the agency. It's about being optimistic, looking forward to things to come, just being positive in what you do in life, because your future is really bright. Bless you. And I want to show you how bright your future is with the next slide. You guys ready? All right, here's the next slide. I know you'll like it. So that's it. Thank you guys. I really enjoyed it.